this is a talking point for many people I know, and I wonder where you stand on it. Bluntly, would you join a boycott of firms that MPs say you're not paying the right tax? You've spotted this. I think executives from some of the biggest brands in the world have been in Parliament to answer questions about their schemes. The Public Accounts Committee heard from top staff at Google, Starbucks and Amazon. All three confirmed financial arrangements in Europe that meant they got a better deal on the tax they paid. Starbucks is reported to have paid less than £9 million in UK corporation tax over the last 14 years. According to The Guardian, Amazon paid none whatsoever last year on sales of more than £3 billion. The Telegraph put Google's contribution to the Treasury last year at £6 million on a turnover of nearly £400 million. The Google UK boss told the committee the company had a duty to shareholders to minimise its costs. All three companies told the committee we haven't acted illegally. As the chair, Margaret Hodge MP, told them, we're not accusing you of being illegal, we're accusing you of being immoral. Later, Margaret Hodge told the BBC she thought it was right that customers should boycott the companies. Will you follow Margaret Hodge with your banner of boycott against the coffee bean and the book? Should we turn from Google to Bin, from Starbucks to Costa? Should I shut up for a moment? I'm reading rather too many words. Let's hear from people themselves, and you can call me on 0500 288 291. Welcome, Jonathan Davis, economist and wealth manager. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Paddy.
And in her own words, Margaret Hodge, what would you like to do?
Well, I think on a personal level, I do think you should express your disapproval where you can by not purchasing goods from companies who deliberately avoid paying their fair contribution to the tax base in the UK.
What are you doing in the Hodge household about this?
Well, we're not going to go to Starbucks. We are certainly not. I mean, I haven't been going to Starbucks, I have to tell you, for a few months. And probably that's the easiest, because down the road from any Starbucks coffee shop, there will be plenty of other coffee shops to choose from. I have been an Amazon customer. I have to tell you that. I've been an Amazon customer. I've got a Kindle. I read a lot, and I'm going to change my habits there. And I was particularly cross with Amazon, yes. I mean, I was cross with all of them, but with Amazon, if I just tell you this, when I buy from Amazon, I buy online, and I buy from something called amazon.co.uk. So I think I'm buying from a UK company. I then get a parcel delivered to my home by the Royal Mail with British stamps on it, and I think it's coming from Britain. I know it is. The books never touch Luxembourg.
If I've just ordered a telescopic ladder on Amazon, am I the same as paying cash to the plumber?
Well, I don't think you should pay cash to the plumbers either.
But do you think I should
two wrongs don't make a right?
Should I have bought my telescopic ladder from Amazon, do you think?
I would not now buy my telescopic ladder from Amazon.
Jonathan,
I think let me just say this one other thing. This is only part of the answer. I think government has to act nationally to put a stop to this abuse of the perfectly legal systems.
Right.
And I think governments have to act internationally to deal with what has become a habit in global companies to avoid tax.
Jonathan Davis, you've been very patient. What would you do with companies that aren't really paying as much tax as they could?
They're not paying as much tax as they could. How much more tax should they pay? Who's to say they should pay more tax? What I mean by that is, I was about to express extreme disapproval to Mrs. Hodge there. And I was going to say words like rank hypocrisy until she said that government has a part to play in this. I would suggest to you, Paddy, government has a 100% part to play in this. And she and her crowd had 13 years to do something about multinationals who were not paying big taxes because the governments of the world and the governments successive of the UK set the tax rules. So to suggest that people should pay more tax than the rules say they should. Shall we take that to a different level? Does that mean I'm not allowed an individual savings account, which is a tax-free savings account, because someone set a rule which said that I can save tax? Does that mean that I should not have an ISA? I should pay more tax? No. The rules are the rules. They are set by politicians. And to use Mrs. Hodges' phrase, yes, I will be expressing disapproval. I will hopefully find a politician who will vote to put a stop to these things. That's the person I will vote for, and that's how I shall be expressing my disapproval.
Right, so you'll be drinking more Starbucks?
I will not change my purchasing because corporations are doing what they should do, which is to reduce their expenses. They reduce what they pay out. If their job is to maximise profits by providing goods and services that consumers want and B, reducing their taxation, well, quite right, that's their job.
Margaret Hodge.
Yeah, I want to say a number of things. The first is say every company operating in a society also has obligations to that society. It's not just about making the most money you can. It's also, you make your money in a society, you have obligations to that society. And I think increasingly companies understand that when they talk about damaging the environment, when they talk about how they import goods from developing countries so there's not exploitation there, when they talk about helping to build strong communities. They don't yet understand it about paying tax. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I do agree with this from Jonathan. I agree that politicians have to do more and that we haven't done enough. I agree with him on that.
Okay.
But what was really galling about the three, and these are only three companies that we had before us yesterday, it's that they abuse the use of legitimate rules. They've got very clever lawyers and accountants who are paid millions of pounds who go around abusing the rules. And you want one example? I'll give you one. Starbucks, for example, they buy all their coffee in Switzerland. It never gets to Switzerland. It comes straight into the coffee shops here. But the Swiss take 20% off every coffee bean that comes into the UK. They take a 20% profit simply for buying it. Why? Because the tax rate in Switzerland is less than half the corporation tax rate here.
Jonathan?
That is an abuse of a rule. It's not the use of a rule.
So, Mrs. Hodge, change the rule.
Well, you should stop the abuse, and I think one of the problems we've got, let me talk to you about this, one of the problems we've got...
Well, hang on, can I interrupt you? Would you just answer Jonathan's point? I mean, I'm loving listening to you, but be fair to him. He's saying, you've got your hand on the powerful levers, Margaret Hodge. Yep. Don't blame the firm, blame yourself and change the rules.
Part of it, well, I'll tell you how I'd change the rules. I'd make it all very much more open. At the moment, the only way that we discovered about Starbucks was not because HMRC told us anything. I'm a backbench MP now, Jonathan. I know I was a minister, but I'm a backbench MP now. And so, and at the moment, we don't know. The reason we know about Starbucks is Reuters did a report.
So, Jonathan, would you support that? A bit more light being shone. Would you and Margaret be on the same side then?
As a libertarian, I am absolutely for transparency, both around taxation and companies and indeed around government, which everybody knows is shrouded in so much fog and cloud that we can't find anything out, even with so-called freedom of information. So yes, I'm totally for that. However, transparency of itself will not change the rules. What it will do probably is influence consumers to change their activities, their buying activities.
I think transparency will help make. I agree with that.
Let me just put this boycott thing. I can understand it.
Hold on. Sorry.
I think this is an abuse of the
rules. All right, bear with me. Jonathan, finish your point first. Margaret, you go next.
I was going to say that as a youngster, I remember boycotting a particular bank because it had branches in South Africa while they still had apartheid. That's one thing that I personally did. But to go at corporations, this is the point point I really want people to get, to go at companies and corporations, or indeed individuals who are simply using, Mrs. Hodge says abusing, I would say using, the rules set down by successive parliaments over decades, and to suggest that governments didn't know that this was going on, as Mrs. Hodge says, that it only came out from a Reuters report.
I've got it.
Pull the other one, Mrs. Hodge. Everybody knows that this has been going on for decades.
I've got it.
It goes on, and it will go on until the politicians stand up and be noticed.
Margaret Hodge.
They don't all do it. Other of the coffee houses, Costa pays its corporation tax. A British-owned company pays its corporation tax properly. They don't all do it and abuse it. What I was going to say is an important point, is that we need more openness, but HMRC also has a lot of very dedicated, committed staff, but it can't pay the same wage rates that these very expensive accountants and lawyers who advise the international companies do.
Thank you.
And our rules are so complex, and that's grown up over the years, that these expensive accountants manage to abuse them, find ways around them.
Thank you, Margaret.
Which means they don't meet their intent.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for letting us into a little few details, secrets of the Hodge household and what you'll be buying as well. And we were also listening to Jonathan Davis. And now we'll ask you, in the real world, would you join a boycott of firms?